What time is it? All time! What time is it? All time!
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorda, and I'm here with my co-host, Joe Habib.
From Boston.
And we have a great show for you today. And if you want to call and ask questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. And we'll be here till about 8:30 tonight. And tonight, we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame class of 2021 has been announced. We'll let you know exactly who they are. And Vasyl Lomachenko, not accepting defeat very well at all, man. We'll tell you about that. But first, let's get started with Canelo Alvarez versus Callum Smith. Let me tell you what, man, this was something to watch, man. I'll tell you that. Canelo Alvarez wins a unanimous decision over Callum Smith by the scores of 119-109 twice and 117-111. I had it 120-108. I had it a shutout. I couldn't give Smith really a round. There was a couple rounds. I mean, I know Antonio gave him the first round and the fifth round, but that was it. It was 118 on his card, 110. Man, it was tough to really give him a round. I mean, round after round, Canelo just pressed him constantly. It was impressive, man. He controlled this fight from start to finish. But the thing was, man, Smith was really putting in shots from time to time. But Canelo just walked right through him. And you're talking about a naturally bigger guy in Callum Smith. The pressure was just way too much for him. Let me tell you, the one thing in this fight that really surprised me, and me and my dad were watching the fight, and I said, I am shocked that Canelo got off as many jabs, basically dictated the fight with his jab. Listen, man, Callum Smith had what, an 8-inch reach on him? Or something ridiculous, man. It was like an 8-inch reach or something like that. Canelo just completely dismantled this guy. I mean, it wasn't even close, man. And in my opinion, the crazy part about last night, man, my opinion, Callum Smith was the best 168-pound champion out there. You could argue Caleb Plant, but I think he beat Plant prior to last night. I think he beat Plant. And maybe Benavidez. That would have been a toss-up fight, but he won that World Boxing Super Series, got the Ali Trophy, went through a lot of good people to get that title. Listen, man, to me, last night, I thought Callum Smith was the best 168-pound champion out there, but the problem is Canelo is the best, period. There's nobody better right now. Nobody. And there's no doubt after last night. He made him look ordinary. He made it look like a sparring session, and that was a champion out there. Callum Smith was a very, very good fighter. And, listen, man, I mean, after last night, man, Canelo's the pound for pound champ. End of story. You can't even entertain any other scenario. Who are you going to put out there? Crawford? He doesn't have the resume Canelo does. He doesn't. So he's unified. He didn't unify against the competition that Canelo's faced is far superior to anybody out there, maybe with the exception of Pacquiao. And Pacquiao fights what? Once every blue moon now? You can't put Pacquiao in serious contention with him right now. At pound for pound, it's Canelo, man, period. There's nobody else. Nobody else at all, man. He's the best fighter out, period. No question. Before I get to the end of the fight and what was said at the end and everything like that, Beeb, why don't you give us your take on the fight and how it went down, what happened, and all that other good stuff?
Well, supposedly, I guess Callum Smith hurt his left bicep. I don't know if that was a result of Canelo hitting him there or something like that. But whatever the case may be.
Well, also too, Beeb, let me tell you this just real quick, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I heard as they were fighting or whatever, the announcer said that Callum Smith only took the fight on 4 weeks' notice, and that they wish they had longer time to train. This was during the fight. Callum Smith could have had 6 months to train for this. It wouldn't have made a difference, man.
Well, let me ask you this. Canelo took the fight on 4 weeks' notice too, because he didn't have an opponent, right? I mean,
right.
What difference did it make?
Oh, right.
They were both in the same situation.
Didn't matter, son.
So as I was saying, but to me, like right when the bell started, I noticed Canelo was stepping in with this jab, whereas Callum Smith was kind of throwing a get off me type jab, like a little touch, just stay away from me type jab.
Yeah.
Right. Callum Smith, again, no fighter likes to get hurt, but sometimes you can sense when a fighter is overly concerned about opening up because he's concerned about what's going to come at him. And not because he's necessarily afraid. It's because he doesn't have a sense or a feel or a rhythm to time what's coming at him. And because Canelo had such a hand speed advantage, and he had even a foot speed advantage. Here's one thing Canelo has at 168 that he didn't really have at 160 and 154. 154 and 160, he wasn't the fastest guy on his feet. Like if you were to match him up against a guy like Charlo at 160, Charlo's probably faster all around, hand speed and foot speed, or maybe at least foot speed. But at 168, these bigger guys, they're not as quick on their feet as the smaller guys were. So he has a foot speed advantage, and he's more explosive at this weight than these guys. And even Billy Joe Saunders, I mean, he looks like he lost a step, but he doesn't look like he's
Doesn't not look the same, does he?
He moves a lot, but I think he's a little bit overrated at this point. I mean, because
I think the nonsense has caught up with him. I really do.
When you got guys like Andy Lee, who was able to track him down and touch him, and got guys like Willie Monroe was able to touch him. You can argue that Andy Lee, I think I had that fight a draw or something like that, or you could even argue Andy Lee's tweaking out. I don't think Saunders has gotten better. I think he's starting to turn the corner and decline a little bit. So I think Canelo would rout him too.
Yeah.
But the thing is you had a guy in Smith who was concerned because he was saying to himself, if I open up, this guy's fast enough to counter me. This guy's moving forward. He's throwing punches, but I can't time when they're coming out because of the feints. He's going to my body, but I don't know if he's going to go to I don't know when he's going to go to my body or when he's going to go to my head. So what do? I have to gamble. I cover my body. The hook. I'm open to the hook. And Canelo actually out-jabbed him. The shorter guy out-jabbed him. Why? Because he was stepping in. He was throwing a feints at times before he threw the jab. And, I'm not going to disparage the guy, but one thing I always said about Callum Smith was he's kind of a basic guy. He's good at what he does, but he reminds me of Mikkel Kessler, kind of like a straight, and D-style boxing was the one that brought this to my attention, and I agree with him 100%. He mentioned this. Like Mikkel Kessler was a solid guy, but there was nothing stand out about him. He was not dynamic. He was a basic jab right-hand guy from the outside, decent left hook, but for the most part, these was, straight up and down, guy from the outside, basic 1-2 type guy. Not a lot of feints, not a lot of head movement, not incredible reflexes. So that's the thing. You had a guy who was just much more well-rounded, had much more ability. And the thing about this is Canelo, he's just getting better. He's just getting better because he's becoming harder to figure out. And that's because of the delivery system now, because of the feints, because of the varying up of the attacks, because of him being able to anticipate and beat guys to the spot, getting ahead of guys, and beating them to the spot before they can get there. So he's able to take guys' weapons away from them. And he just totally dissected Callum Smith. And I don't think Callum Smith felt comfortable at all having to punch down either. Tall guys don't like punching down because it leaves them open. When you punch straight, you can punch and still cover your face. You know what I mean? When you're punching down, you're opening up your face. So I just think that what I always thought before the fight, and as I was watching, I just said this is a horrible style matchup for Callum Smith. I think the biggest threat for Canelo Alvarez at 168, in my opinion, style-wise, is David Benavidez.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because David Benavidez is another guy who's pretty quick. He's very unorthodox. He's a guy that, like, you know, he'll throw lead left hooks. He'll throw lead right hands. He'll come out of nowhere and just throw uppercuts. He comes at you, gives you angles, and he's just a tough guy to figure out.
Yeah.
And he's big and he's strong. You know what I mean? And he can punch. You know, you could argue that him and Canelo, I would probably even say Benavidez may be the hardest puncher at 168. You can debate it. I don't know. But I do know one thing. Canelo looks like he's built like a brick shithouse at 168.
He really does, man.
Solid as a rock.
Wow.
He looked very solid at the weight. Not an ounce of fat on him. Not that always matters, but again, when you have the skill set and the athleticism, and then you have that strength and that man strength to go along with it. The kid's only 30 years old. The young man's only 30 years old.
Yeah.
And he's got, at the bare minimum, 3 to 4 solid years left in him to even get better. So I think the world is his oyster. I don't want to see him go up to 175. I think 168 is going to be the sweet spot.
Yeah.
They're talking about Errol Spence at 160. I'm not even so sure that's a good idea because, again,
let me tell you what, he wipes the floor with Errol Spence. That's not even, that fight's not, I'm going to tell you right now, that fight's not even close. Canelo.
My concern is you have such a you're carrying the 168 beautifully. You know, you're not an ounce of fat on you. You were shredded to the bone at 168. Why go back down to 160 and lose all that muscle mass?
So what? He catches him at a catch weight of 164 or something like that. Canelo dictates where it goes.
I was thinking the same thing too. Like
I mean, who is Errol Spence? I mean, really, like at the end of the day, he doesn't dictate. He's not going to dictate the fight with Canelo.
And Errol Spence,
you mangled, son. So let's talk about Errol Spence real quick. This is what I did like about the DAZN. There was plenty to not like about the DAZN broadcast last night, and I'll get to that in a minute. But let me tell you what I did like about DAZN last night. They interviewed Teofimo Lopez. That was great. Did you see that? They interviewed him and asked him about this and asked him about Devin Haney and everything like that. And then they found Errol Spence and asked him point blank about Terrence Crawford. And he says, unless he wants to take 70-30, he was like, I really don't want to. He doesn't want to fight Crawford at all. He does not want to fight him. Then he said he wanted to fight Canelo. He wanted to fight Canelo or whatever. He's interested in that fight. Afterwards in the post-fight presser, somebody had asked him about that and said, hey, what do you think about Errol Spence? He said he wants to fight you. And he says, hey, listen, man, I'm really happy that he came to the fight tonight. And he says, I really like him. I'm glad he came to the fight. But, he says, the thing is, man, we're kind of going in two different directions. I'm going after the unification. I want to unify the belts. He doesn't really, and he's at 147. So, it doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. Like I was saying before, for Canelo, who looks phenomenal, who looks
right. Yeah.
Like, why would he? It's like Roy Jones. When Roy Jones went up to heavyweight and lost the weight and went back down to 175, lost all that. You built a solid foundation at 168. You've maximized your body. You've optimized your body, I should say, at 168. Yeah. You've gotten them. You're at the pinnacle in terms of physical conditioning at 168. You got the muscle mass, you got the strength. Why deplete yourself to go down to 160 for Errol Spence when you don't really need, what is that fight going to do for you legacy-wise? Nothing, because you beat up a smaller guy, number one. Right. Number two, this guy can make buku cash fighting anybody.
Anybody.
He's going to get paid. And if they do what they say they're going to do and have him fight in Saudi Arabia or have him fight in Japan, and they map out a plan where they can make this guy and give this guy international exposure and make this guy an international star, if that's the plan and they follow through with that plan, then once again, the world is his. The world is his oyster. And you can argue that Joshua maybe worldwide is more popular than Canelo. I don't know. I mean, he's Joshua's known in Africa because he's got Nigerian roots. He's known in Saudi Arabia. He's known in the UK. But again, is all that as important as being as big as Canelo is in the United States and in Mexico? And here's another thing. Canelo's got the whole Latino Hispanic culture behind him as well. So you got Puerto Ricans, you got all the Central American countries behind Canelo. So you can make an argument Canelo's still running the show. He's still the face of boxing. You can make an argument either way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, but as far as Spence goes, that fight ain't happening. And Spence seemed to close the door on the Crawford fight and then gets the door closed on him with the Canelo fight. Reese Mack brought up a great point. He said the fight was in Texas, so the Charlos could have showed up. He's 100% right. I didn't see the Charlos there.
Doesn't show up. They
didn't show up. Where were they? They're always squawking about wanting to fight him. Where were they?
But here's the thing. Anyone wants to, if I'm Canelo, and I'm saying to myself, anyone wants to fight me, they fight me at my weight. I'm not again, fuck all these catch weights and all these bullshit. I'm calling the shots.
He's 20 pounds heavier than Errol Spence. What are you doing? I mean, for real, what are you doing, son?
That's not a good fight for Spence. That's not a good fight for Spence.
He'd get murdered. He would get murdered. There's no two ways about it, man.
It's just 100%. It's just not a good fight for Spence.
No, not even close, man.
I just don't see it. I just don't see it being a good fight for Spence.
I did like I said, man, I did like the way DAZN did that, where they were interviewing him and asking him questions about, they weren't even, they're not even DAZN fighters. And he wasn't even asking about DAZN fights. He knows that fight's not going to take place on DAZN, but they asked him about it anyway. That was great, man.
You know what irritated me, and I don't know, I don't even know if it should have irritated me, maybe because I should have just ignored it. But Brian Kenny, sometimes he just says stupid.
Yeah, he really does.
You know what he kept saying over and over again that was aggravating me last night? Oh, Canelo's a 3-division champion. No, he's not. He's a 4-division champion. Oh, well, Kovalev wasn't the real champion. Okay, so are we going to again, Kovalev was the WBO champion, okay? Was he past his prime a bit? Yeah, sure. Okay, whatever. So now what are we going to do? Are we going to say, oh, well, Roy Jones really wasn't the heavyweight champion when he beat John Ruiz? I mean, we all know that Ruiz wasn't the lineal guy.
Right.
But are we going to start are we going to go, oh, well, Golovkin won his WBA regular middleweight title. He fought against a guy for the vacant title. He's not a real champ. Are we going to just start going down? Manny Pacquiao when he fought David Diaz for the lightweight title. So are we going to take that belt away from him? When Floyd fought Arturo Gatti, are we going to take that belt away from him? I mean, is that what we're going to do? We're going to start going around and saying, well, that guy wasn't the real champion. That guy listen.
Who's the real champion? You don't know. The real champion is based on your opinion, nobody else.
It's all opinion based.
It's like pound for pound. Your opinion, nobody else. It's a mythical thing. There is no champion.
Listen, Kovalev got like people thought Kovalev was gonna get knocked out by Yard. Okay?
Yeah.
And he almost did, but he came back and he knocked him out. Kovalev was knocked out by Alito Alvarez, and then they had a rematch. Everyone was saying Alito Alvarez was going to knock him out again. What did he do? He schooled Alito Alvarez. Let's not write Kovalev off. I mean, Kovalev isn't what he was. We all know that. But the guy can still fight.
I thought he was winning that fight, by the way. I thought he was beating Alvarez in that fight.
Before he got knocked out.
Ahead. Before he got knocked out, I had him way ahead. No
problem with that. And here's another thing, too. Some people had him up against Canelo. Some people thought he was beating Canelo. So let's not sit there and say like Kovalev is a nothing.
Right.
Okay. Do I think that Bivol would beat Kovalev? Probably. Do I think Better Beef would beat Kovalev? Yeah. But again, you could favor those guys, but every time you write Kovalev off, he comes back.
Man.
Didn't you pick Yard to beat Kovalev?
I did. Yeah. And I thought Joe Joyce was going to lose against that one guy a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So,
whoever that guy was.
That's the thing. Like, oh, well, he's a 3. No, he's a 4-division champion. He beat a legitimate light heavyweight in Kovalev. Kovalev, even though he's past his prime, he's still a champion. He was still a champion. He's still a reputable. You would definitely, could we argue that Kovalev's at least in the top 5 at light heavyweight?
Anybody, listen, man.
Who's better than Kovalev at light heavyweight? Beterbiev and Bivol.
Right.
You could put Kovalev, you could put him at 3, right?
Right. Maybe. You don't know what happens in the fight, man.
So and again, no disrespect. I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% sold on Bivol. I'm not.
No,
I'm not. Beterbiev is scary. That guy is what I saw him do. What I saw him do to Vosdik, that was scary. That was scary.
Yeah.
Beterbiev is dangerous. I don't think Canelo should ever go near Beterbiev.
No.
I'm not 100% sure that Bivol would beat Canelo.
But I'm not 100% sure that Beterbiev is the best fighter in that division either. You know what I mean? I thought he might have been. I thought he might have been losing that fight with Gvozdyk.
I thought Vosdik was beating him. He was outboxing him. So here's the thing: if Beterbiev doesn't knock you out, you could outbox him.
Right, there you go. Everybody's got flaws, man. This is why I never did like the belt holder versus title, belt holder versus champion. Because again, the champion is, if you get a belt as a fighter, you're going to call yourself the champion.
Well, here's the thing. Again, the guy, you are 100% correct. A guy wins a title, he earns the right to call himself champion. No one can take that away from him.
Yeah.
But there is going to be the perception, if you have a guy like Devin Haney who does fight some guy that has no business being in the ring with them, and they make that for a vacant title,
right?
It's going to be diminished.
For sure.
But if someone fights Devin Haney and beats Devin Haney and becomes champion, Devin Haney's legit.
Yeah.
So just because he didn't win it in the way that we wanted him to win it, Devin Haney can fight. So if you beat Devin Haney, you're beating a real champion.
You're beating the guy, yeah.
Even though you don't like the guy he beat to become champion, Devin Haney's legit. So
for sure.
So that was just irritating me. And then they kept correcting him. And he's like, well, Kovalev's not the real champion. Beterbiev was. Well,
how do you know?
Why is Beterbiev the real champion? What about Bivol? He's still there. That division's wide open. It's wide open.
Again, like I said, says who? You? Says who?
That's an opinion. That's an opinion.
Let me talk about, let's get to our first train wreck of the week here. This was crazy, okay? Let me tell you what I didn't mind. All right. So as Canelo and Callum Smith came out, they had Michael Buffer on the big screen because he wasn't there in person. He recorded their entrances. Now coming out is Canelo Alvarez, and then everything like that. That was fine. It was lame, but it was okay, fine. I don't mind it. You had David Diamante there. You know what I mean? Why not let him? But I get it. All right, whatever. He's Michael Buffer. I gotcha. So they both come out to the ring, and then I hear Michael Buffer doing the intros. But the problem is I hear David Diamante also doing the intros. Did you notice this?
Yeah.
How lame was this?
It's kind of corny, bro.
It was completely corny. Why do you have two guys introing the same thing? And as soon as Michael Buffer was done, Diamante still did the same thing and just finished it up. It was the corniest thing. Dude, what are you doing?
It just wasn't needed.
Now, I don't know. Let me tell you this. Now, I don't know what the pay-per-view looked like because I watched it on DAZN. We got DAZN, so watched it on DAZN. I don't know what the pay-per-view looked like. This would have irritated me too if I spent $80 on it or whatever the price was for it. Commercials in between rounds. You know how they would pan the corner, then they would have a big commercial going on. Now, for $10 a month or whatever we pay for it, all right, I don't care. But for $80, if I'm watching that, like I said, and I don't know.
How much was the pay-per-view? Was it 80 or was it, I think it was.
That I don't know. I thought it was 70 maybe. I thought it was 69.
69, yeah. I think it was 70 bucks. A little cheaper than 80.
So $70. So $70, but then you're watching commercials. You never see commercials on pay-per-view. That's part of the reason you buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So corny. Dude, what are you doing? Now, again, I don't know if that was part of the pay-per-view, But if it was, that was shoddy. That was real shoddy. All right, let's move ahead here. Talking on DAZN on Friday, I think this wasn't it Friday? Gennady Golovkin
Yes.
versus Kamil Sarameta. Triple G wins by TKO over Sarameta. The bout was waved off at the end of the 7th round. Man, I tell you what, Triple G pretty much dominated this fight from first round on. I think he knocked him down in the first round, everything, man. Listen, all I kept hearing was Triple G is back, this and that. I know that I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but I'm going to tell you right now, he looked like an aged fighter. Yeah, I know he dominated this guy. I get it. Let's pump the brakes here because that guy only had 6 knockouts. Yeah, he was undefeated with 6 knockouts. All right, he had 20 some odd fights, 21 fights. He had 6 knockouts. You knew he didn't have power. You knew he wasn't going to be able to keep Triple G off him. To me, and B, maybe you could speak to this too, I thought he looked slow. I thought the only thing that he really has left is his power. And his power, again, man, if you can't hit the target, what good are you going to be? Who could have imagined Canelo or one of the Charlos in there with him that night? I mean, to me, he looks like an aged fighter. And all DAZN could talk about is Canelo Triple G 3. We want to see that fight. Canelo, incidentally, doesn't want anything to do with that fight. He said that after in the post fight, they had, or I guess after the fight, they asked him about it through a translator, and the translator kind of left the door open, saying that yeah, that fight might happen, like Canelo was agreeing to it. Now, my dad, who speaks fluent Spanish, he said the guy didn't know what he was talking about, and apparently a lot of other people agreed the guy didn't know what he was talking about either. The translator got a lot of hate, but that's neither here nor there. But Canelo basically said, "I want to move forward. I don't want to go back." You know, so there's not going to be another Triple G fight. There's not. It's not going to happen.
They're gonna try and talk him into it, but I'm
sure they are. But I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think he's going to do it.
But if they do, I tell you what, if they do, I think it's an easy payday for Canelo. What were your thoughts on that Triple G fight, man?
Golovkin looked like his reflexes have really dulled. The punches, you know, he seems more like a clubber now. He was never really an explosive guy to begin with, but he's become more and more. It's like, you remember when Foreman came back after that hiatus?
Yes.
He still had his power, but the way the punches were coming off,
right?
They were just very slow, lumbering, clubbing type shots. And that's a sign, obviously, of a fighter losing his reflexes, not having that same snap and coordination and stuff like that. It happens. It happens to the best of us. And what people don't realize is these Eastern European fighters. You know, you could say, well, he's 38. Well, look at guys like Bernard Hopkins. Look at guys like Glenn Koff Johnson. Look at guys like the Klitschkos. I mean, they were able to be very effective, and they didn't lose much at 38. Whatever, that's fine. But what people don't remember and feel, and what people fail to realize is these Eastern European guys have very, very long amateur careers.
That's right.
As I've said, and I've said it several times, when you have a fighter that has an overextensive amateur career, it takes years off of his pro career. I think if you spend too long in the amateurs, you want to get 2 gold medals instead of 1. You want to have 300 amateur fights instead of 100 amateur fights.
Right.
That's just extra miles that you're putting on your body that you're not going to be able to use when you go into the pros. So you're basically abbreviating and shortening your pro career. I think Canelo, just as well as Lomachenko, I think they've both fallen into that same dilemma. So Canelo is 38, but he's probably in boxing years, maybe 42, 43, because of how long he spent in the amateurs. So I think that, you know, he was breathing out of his mouth. His reflexes didn't look the greatest. He looked slower. And again, he's looking like an aged fighter. And you saw what Derevyanchenko did to him. I thought Derevyanchenko clearly beat him.
Yeah,
okay?
no question.
Derevyanchenko is a very solid fighter, but he's not the best that division has to offer. I mean, If Golovkin ever fought Charlo, I think Charlo destroys him. I think Charlo stops him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's too quick. He's too fast.
Jamal Charlo would dissect him, pick him apart.
Yeah.
Danny Jacobs may probably beat him right now in a rematch.
I don't know.
But Danny Jacobs sometimes,
he doesn't look very good either right now.
Yeah, maybe not because of that Gabe Rosado fight.
I'd like to see Gabe Rosado fight him again.
You know what I mean?
Why not?
But you know, when you look at a lot of guys, Demetrius Andrade, that'd be a great fight for him right now. You know, Demetrius Andrade's talking a lot.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Demetrius Andrade would kill that guy right now.
He's talking a lot, but he's got to step up. He's got to get one of these guys. He's got to get Billy Joe Saunders. He's got to get Golovkin. He's got to make one of these fights happen. The clock is ticking on him too. You know, how old is he?
Well, and there's no excuse for it. He's on the zone. He's with Matchroom. I mean, what else? What else do you need, son?
They got to do something with him because, you know, I'm getting sick of seeing these types of opponents that he's fighting too. He's 32 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's got a couple good years left. He's got to get these big fights in before his career's over. Really does. Sitting there complaining and you know, saying, why can't I, you know, I want Billy Joe Saunders, I want Canelo. Okay. Get it done.
Go get it done. You got the promoters right there. Go get it.
Get it done. These fights aren't hard to make.
No.
Fight Charlo.
Go fight Billy Joe Saunders and get that belt. That way Canelo is forced to fight you. Because I believe that Canelo will fight Plant next or Billy Joe Saunders next. He's fighting one of those two next.
I think he's going to fight Billy Joe Saunders next because it's an Eddie Hearn fighter. It's an easy fight to make.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at some of these guys. Let's look at Demetrius Andrade's last 6 opponents. Willie Nelson, Jack Colque, Alante Fox, Walter Karakandova, whatever, Artur Akavov, Zaleski, and Luke Keeler. I mean, look at the guys on this.
Like a murderer's row, you know.
I mean, look at this resume. He's sitting there criticizing Canelo's resume last night, and
which blows me away. I mean,
when you look at his resume, I mean, you know, it just boggles the mind.
Yeah. So,
you know, he's at least Billy Joe Saunders has a Chris Eubank Jr. on there. He's got an Andy Lee on there. You know, he's got
somebody. Yeah.
He doesn't have the best resume. He's got David Lemieux on there.
I was gonna say the guy from Canada, Lemieux.
David Lemieux, but Demetrius Andrade's got like the worst resume of all the middleweight champions.
You know, and I you know, he reminds me a lot of Andre Ward. Demetrius Andrade reminds me a lot of Andre Ward, not in the sense that just the sense that he wins. He usually wins big. He usually wins. He's a good fighter. You know, when you go up against him, he's gonna put on a show in the sense that he's gonna be the favorite. To me, he's always gonna be the favorite because he's got that style, you know. But again, he's not fighting anybody. So what do? You know, I don't know. It's crazy.
It's bananas.
All right, so let's move on to Showtime here. Raymart Gaballo, undefeated prospect. Well, I guess he's more than a prospect now, versus Emmanuel Rodriguez. Gaballo wins a split decision over Manny Rodriguez by the scores of 116-112, 115-113, and 118-110 for Rodriguez. Big disparaging, you know, discrepancy there. 118-110 for Rodriguez. Beeb, you saw the fight for who?
Rodriguez.
How did you have it scored?
Pull up my scorecard right now. I think I had 117 and 111.
Yeah, you had it fairly wide.
Yeah, I gave Gaballo 7, 8, and 9. And I think Steve Farhad only gave him 8 and 9. Here's the thing. You got a guy like in Gaballo who's moving forward. Okay? And maybe the judges are looking at him as the effective aggressor, but he's not. He's missing shots.
Yeah.
You got Rodriguez taking the half step back, but he's not going straight back. He's circling, and he's walking Gaballo into his jab and, you know, right hands. So he's walking him into the shots. And once again, this is the classic case of a guy like looking like he's doing more than he's really doing in Gaballo.
Right.
So, the shots he was missing the majority of his shots. And you had Rodriguez just picking him apart because he was following Rodriguez around the ring because Rodriguez kept moving and making Gaballo have to reset his feet. And he couldn't, and he was lunging. So Gaballo would follow him, and then Rodriguez would move to his left or move to his right. And then, he would stop. And then as Rodriguez would move to the side, he was caught out of position, and then he would reach and lunge in with shots. And when he was lunging in, he was getting caught with the jabs and the right hands. So I thought this was a clear victory for Rodriguez. I was shocked. I was shocked at the decision at the end.
Yeah, that's insane.
Just in the Twitterverse, I think it was like 85 to 90% had Rodriguez winning this fight.
Oh, wow.
Steve Farhad had Rodriguez winning this fight. Everyone had Rodriguez winning this fight. Except for the judges,
except for the two people that counts,
Except for the three judges.
Jaron Ennis versus Chris Van Heerden, friend of the show. This fight ends in a no contest after a headbutt caused a bad gash on Chris Van Heerden. The fight was stopped, so nothing here. Gary Antonio Russell versus Juan Carlos Payano. Gary Antonio Russell wins via 7th round TKO or technical decision, over Juan Carlos Payano. Scores were 59-55 twice and 58-56. Russell kind of on cruise control there. Payano suffered a 5th round headbutt, and the fight was stopped in the 7th. So there you go. On NBC Sports Network, Charles Conwell, Titletown's own daddy, wins via TKO over Matyar Ashkiev in the 9th round. And ESPN, this was, I believe, was this on Wednesday or Thursday? This was the Zoo fight.
It
was on one of those. Yeah, it was on one of those.
It was on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Tim Zoo, man, needed just one round to take care of Bowen Morgan. Zoo just hit Morgan at will in this fight, man. He dropped him in the first. Morgan got up and got laid out with the right hand. I mean, he sprawled him out, man. He just came up, bang, right over the top with it. And that guy he was out cold, man. He just referee. I don't even think he hit the deck, and the referee was just waving it off, man.
Yes, he's very dynamic, this kid.
Yeah, that kid is really good. Beeb, how good is he though? It's tough to say, right?
Well, he's explosive. He can punch. He's got his dad's genetics, so
he does. Looks just like him, by the way. Minus the ponytail, he looks just like his dad.
He beat Jeff Horn too, so Jeff Horn was a former champion, so you got to give him credit for that. Beat him very impressively.
Who the fuck is Jeff Horn?
I mean, he looks pretty solid, but obviously, we got to see what happens when he. That fight was Thursday. I'm sorry, Ohio.
Thursday. Okay, thank you, Ohio.
For some reason I thought it was Wednesday. Obviously the level of opposition isn't the greatest, but it's not horrible. But but we want to see it. We want to see him bump it up a little bit. But I think he has the potential to be a very solid fighter. I think he's solid.
Ohio Runs Boxing, thank you so much, man. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think he's a solid fighter too. Let me tell you what probably could have been the train wreck of the week too. Gilberto Zerto Ramirez versus Alfonso Lopez. Not the fight, but the actual fact that it was on pay-per-view. How about that, babe? This fight was on pay-per-view? What? Like, come on, man. Really?
How much was the price?
Who cares? Whatever they were charging was too much. I have no idea what they were charging. Maybe $40 or something. I don't know. Ramirez wins via 10th round KO over Alfonso Lopez. Yeah, I wasn't going to watch it. Not for that. As far as the upcoming schedule this week, nothing. Zilch, nada. There is I guess some fights in Japan or whatever. Nothing really of note, though. With that, let's go to the phone. 773, you're live.
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's going on?
Dale, what's up?
Dale, what's happening, man?
What's going on, baby?
Yeah, man, hanging in there. Another decent fight weekend. I know it's been a while since I've been able to call, but I'm following I'm listening every week and following every week. You guys have a great podcast, and that won't change. So
we appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. No, things are good, hanging in there. Working from home, trying to get through. You know how it is.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man. Yeah, but just real quick on the Canelo fight. That's the biggest fight, obviously. You sort of touched on it, Eric, but I was thinking too, like, if somebody just looked at these, like, I only gave Smith the fifth. That was pretty generous, quite frankly. And like, if you just look at that, the scorecards, you look at the fight, you think, who was he fighting? Some nobody, some bum. No, he's a freaking champion. That is how good Canelo is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's it. I mean, he's it. So, he can fight. Like I think the dude said, he keeps getting better. He can fight any style. It doesn't matter how tall the dude is, whatever. That could be advantage or disadvantage, I guess. But it was remarkable. It's just remarkable because I thought, going into this, I thought this is great. He's a good opponent. Callum Smith, he's a good fighter, and it was just like he couldn't do anything. And it's just amazing. But you guys sort of covered some of that. It was fun watching Triple G do what he does, but I agree, man. He's looking old.
He really does. Yeah.
I had kind of a little nostalgia. He does. Like, nostalgically, it's sort of like, all right, cool, here he is. He's still heavy-handed, there's no question. But now he's literally heavy-handed because he seems slower. So,
Yeah. Much slower.
Hands are literally seem heavier. But, like, anyway. It was fun, whatever. Maybe he'll get one of those bigger opponents in 2021. But, like, honestly, when they were talking, like, Canelo 3, Canelo absolutely. The first two were close. I actually scored for Triple G both times, but I think Canelo absolutely destroys him the third time. Andrade, forget it. He beats him. Saunders, I don't know. He's kind of got the same issues, but I would probably favor him.
I would favor Saunders.
But anyway,
sure.
that's that. And then, yeah, I would favor Saunders. I mean, come on. It's just, But they almost sort of seem like they're in the same spot in their career in a weird way. But Steve, hey, man, I watched your Loma video. Yeah, I got my crazy guy here in the background. I watched your Loma video, and just real quick, I mean, that you made some great points. I'm pretty much, because I basically agree with you on that. I was 116, 112, and it's just such a bad look. I'm sick of this crybaby stuff. I was a big Deontay Wilder fan. I was a big Loma fan, and like this shit, no, sorry guys. Stop the excuses. Stop the complaining. You are. That's it. It is what it is. We have some examples right here in the U.S. at the very top. You fucking lost. That's it. No excuses. Everyone's injured. No one's 100%. All that stuff. You mentioned the stuff with Teofimo's foot. That's almost worse. It's like, yeah, it's such a bad look. Loma, he's done some amazing things. Yeah.
It was funny, Dale. Someone left a comment.
Go ahead, dude.
Someone left a comment on the video, and they said, "Oh, Teofimo had a sore foot. How did he do backflips?" And then I didn't even have to reply to the comment. Someone else replied to the comment and said, "Well, Lomachenko had a bad shoulder. How did he throw punches?" Yeah, it's like, come on, right?
Exactly. Most professional athletes, to some degree, are playing hurt. It's so hard to be 100%. And
sure.
especially the fight game.
Yeah.
You do a camp, you do all that sparring, you tweak something. Something's off, It's just, yeah, there was a fight earlier, I forgot what this one it was. where at the end of it, the kid murked him. It was one of the prospects. And it turned out that he injured both hands in the first round. So this shit happens, you know. But anyway, I just wanted to, you know, that's my thoughts. You know, good to be able to call in again. And, you know, like I said, I'm watching every week, listening every week.
Good to hear from you.
Great show, guys. And I guess we can move on to the other callers. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Good to hear
All
from
right.
you. Have a great
Thank
holiday.
you, Dale, man. We appreciate it, man. Appreciate all the support, man. For sure. Appreciate it.
Great holiday, Dale.
Yeah, definitely have a great holiday, man. 805 Nacho. I believe this is Nacho. You're live. 805.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's happening,
Nacho,
man?
how you doing, man? Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
Nothing much.
Happy holidays, Nacho.
Merry Christmas to you guys. Yes. Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you.
As far as you guys were talking about Canelo right now, I mean, I don't know what to say about Callum Smith. I thought he put up a better fight than that, to be honest. The fact that he had no plan B or plan C after plan A was taken away.
What would he have done differently?
It's
though?
a bad look for him and his trainer.
But that being said, though, what could he have done? He couldn't have done anything differently, Nacho. He couldn't have done anything.
I mean,
he did have a plan B. His plan B was to survive until the last round. That was it. You saw him clock watching in the 11th man.
What you saw last night. What you saw last night was like an army of people that have like pitchforks and shovels versus an army that had tanks.
Yeah.
So I don't care. I don't give a shit what game plan the army that had the pitchforks and shovels had. They're not going to beat the army with the tanks because they're just outgunned.
He could have had 6 months to prepare for this guy. He just ain't beating this guy, man. The guy is just better. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's not Callum Smith is a good champ.
He wasn't going to be able.
He could have had Neo. He could have had Neo from the Matrix in his corner. There was nothing that was going to save him.
Yeah. And look, we all know like Billy Joe Saunders.
Sure.
Like, we all know Billy Joe Saunders is a good fighter, right? There's no question about it. He can fight, and he's defensive. He's just a very good fighter. Canelo mops this guy and makes him look ordinary. I guarantee that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, Billy Joe Saunders doesn't throw enough punches.
No,
he moves around the ring too much. He doesn't like to engage. He
doesn't like to engage.
Kind of more of a stick and move guy.
A lot of movement.
Yeah, he doesn't like to engage.
You make it, but he don't make it pay. So that ain't gonna work against Canelo.
And same thing with Plant. I don't really see Plant doing anything, to be honest.
One guy
beat the guy I saw last night.
One guy at 168 that can give him problems. There's one guy at 168 that can give him problems. That's David Benavidez, and he probably won't fight him because he doesn't have to fight him. The guy doesn't have a belt.
True. That beat, but also we don't even know if Benavidez can actually make 68 anymore.
That's a good.
At this point, he might.
He's got. I mean, who knows what's going on with that guy, man? I mean,
he's got to stop riding the white horse too, man.
I feel like he's a big waste of talent right now. I'll be honest, man. I mean, he could probably be one of the best fighters in the world. He's
Ever since he won his title, his career has just basically come to a standstill.
Yeah.
He hasn't really done much of anything. Yeah. So, who knows? But I think Canelo beats both Saunders and Plant. I just don't see either guy being able to beat the guy I saw last night. And then the Showtime card, my God, talk about an awful decision. I thought Rodriguez completely schooled Gaballo last night. Gaballo, to me, didn't really do anything except stand there and get hit with jabs and 1-2s from Rodriguez practically all night. I mean, anything that he did throw offensively, a lot of the time, Rodriguez was able to either parry or was able to make him miss and counter him. And so I was stunned when I heard split decision. I said, oh, no. I said at that point, I was like, oh, Rodriguez is in trouble. For them to sit there and say that one of the judges had it 7-5 for Gaballo and the other one had it 8-4, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. What kind of fight were they watching? I mean, those are horrible scorecards. There's no way Gaballo won 7 and 8 rounds from what I saw last night. he got completely schooled. I mean, it would be nice if the PBC would give him a rematch, but I seriously doubt it. I think Gaballo and his team know they got away with one, and I don't think they're going to want to get back in there with him. I was disappointed seeing the Ennis Van Heerden fight end the way it did, because honestly, I think Ennis was on his way to getting him out of there. To me, Van Heerden looked like he was completely in over his head. He wasn't doing anything to be able to keep Ennis off of him. Ennis was attacking him to the body and to the head, and if it wasn't for that headbutt, I think we would have probably seen a first or second round knockout before anything else. But I mean, it's too bad. But hopefully, Ennis gets back in the ring sooner rather than later. Hopefully, he won't be waiting too long to get another fight. And then the last fight was god awful to watch. Those two guys literally looked like they were practicing MMA instead of boxing. They were clenching and grabbing and punching each other behind the head. It was awful. It was like one of the worst fights I've seen with Payano and Gary Russell's brother. Like, that was just awful to watch. And the fact that they were actually able to get 6 rounds in before they stopped it because of that cut on Payano's forehead. I mean, thank God that that's what happened, because I don't know how much longer I could have watched that fight. That was tough to watch after a while. And then you guys were talking about Golovkin. Golovkin's lost the step. There's no question about it. At this point, he's not the same guy he was even 3 years ago now at this point. I think the Deverenchenko fight and also the fact that he's getting older is finally starting to catch up to him. Like, Zerto was tailor-made. Like, Zerto was not able to keep him off of him, and Gennady basically now relies on, his power more than anything. I think if he fights anybody, I don't even want to see a third Canelo fight at this point. I think he would get whacked. And against Charlo, I think that might be a little bit more competitive, but I think Charlo still beats him at this point. I just don't see what Golovkin does at this point. Maybe he fights, some second tier guys at middleweight, but as far as like fighting the top guys, I don't see him beating anybody in the top 5 or top 10 at this point. Like, he looks older than 38. I think, like Beat said, he looks like he's more like 40 or 42 at this point. Yeah. So wear and tear has finally caught up to him, which is too bad. But unfortunately, that's what happens when you start your career as late as he did. I think he didn't turn pro till he was like almost 25. So
it's a mistake.
I mean, that was a mistake on his part. He should have turned pro. Hello?
Yes. I was just saying, I think that was a mistake. I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, B. He should have turned pro earlier. But like you said, for some reason he wanted a second gold medal instead of, starting his career earlier. So he's got to live with it now. And then I don't know if you guys saw, but both Felix Sturm and Sergio Martinez are on the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones tour as well. They're trying to come back.
Come on, stop it. Yeah, I saw it. I mean, I wasn't real. I mean, I didn't report on it because, I mean, neither one of these guys are going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. Yeah. What are you making a comeback for? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
What do you think you're gonna George Foreman it and make your way to the title? You don't have that kind of time. You ain't gonna go. Come on, stop. Just stop.
Are they coming back to do exhibitions, or are they?
No, they're fights. I don't think they're exhibitions. No, right, Nacho? They're actually like legit fights. There's judges and everything.
Sergio Martinez and Felix Sturm were real fights. Like, they had guys in there. They had beatable guys, but they were real fights. Both of them fought 12 rounders last night, which I was like, wow. But yeah, I don't get it either, Eric. I think both guys are just
still fighting,
setting themselves up to get beat down by somebody.
Yeah.
They fought a couple of nobodies. Yeah, they fought a couple of nobodies that had no chance.
And Felix Sturm was never exactly known for his knockout power. And that's the reason a lot of people, you look at George Foyle. George did it. Yeah, well, George was in the heavyweight division where you can get away with power. Just ask Deontay Wilder. You can get away with power there. you know. But
Yeah,
here in the
and
lighter weights,
not only
man,
that, heavyweight.
it's different.
Yeah, heavyweights don't stick and move like guys in the lighter weights do.
No,
So you can get guys that you can stand in front of you and knock the hell out.
right.
You know, so that's the big difference. But yeah, it's just sad to see those two guys trying to hang on still. It's like you would have thought that they would have learned that, you know, you don't want to hang on too long, but I guess not. Oh well. All right, guys, that's my call. I'm sure you guys got other people.
All right, Nacho, we appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Have
All
a
right,
good
guys.
holiday, man.
Yeah.
Let's go to 508.
From this day, you'll be my new fool.
Georgie, you're live.
Hey, yo! What's happening, people?
What's happening, Georgie?
Wake up.
Listen, I don't feel like fighting today with you guys.
What's
Be
the holiday
easy,
season?
Please, be easy.
It's a holiday season.
I know, baby. They have this spirit of Christmas and brotherhood be reigning and defending for this show. Now, I just got a question to say. I just want you to ask, without fucking cutting me off, with a reasonable explanation, why it's so hard to tell hardcore that they being fooled? How come, like, I called last week, and I told you guys, I think that Ages is using. You guys got all outrageous about it.
Sure.
Please tell me why.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because he's tested. And nothing's come back. So we can't really say he's juicing if he's not getting caught or if he's not, you know what I'm saying? What is it about him that makes you think he's juicing? He's lost a bunch of weight. What do you think? How do you think he's juicing? What's your proof?
Well, I tried to explain to you last week that because of the way he usually fights, that even when he's winning, he takes rounds off. I didn't see him taking the same type of breathers. So I think his condition, his stamina sort of improved. That makes me suspicious. I'm not asking you guys to condemn the man. What I'm asking you guys is when somebody talk about these goddamn fucking mafias, with Canelo putting that fucking facade of fucking fight with Smith, that shit was covered at 0.2, nigga. Another fucking fraud. Then we say this, we get demonized. You guys defend the same motherfuckers out there who's fucking you. Why? Why cannot this argument because maybe we're talking about boxing. And then like nobody never pop up for fucking drugs on boxing.
Agreed.
These are more than possible things.
Agreed. But there is no proof.
So why you guys get so excited with me when I bring this issue?
Because you bring it with no proof. You bring it with absolutely
but
zero
there's
proof.
No reason to. There you go. But right now we're having a civil conversation about it.
Right.
Last week you guys outraged that I even bring. How could you? No, man, nigga, we're talking boxing. This is more than possible. When the answer Wilder, right, came out saying that he was cheating, what did I say? Probably is. He probably right. Probably the answer was the got cheated. I just don't give a fuck. Because what? I think the answer was the two of them take a dive.
What's the cycle he's taking? What drugs is he taking?
Deca.
What's he taking?
Taking Deca, flushing it down with cocaine.
Name the substances he's taking. I want to know. Since you think he's taking substances,
because there's nothing to indicate to me.
What's he taking?
That he's on any kind of performance enhancers.
What's he on? Is he on Primobolan? What's he taking?
He's rattling off the steroids.
You see, but that's the problem there, because the attitude is that he's impossible.
Decadurabolin? Is he on Masteron?
The answer should be like any. The answer should be like any. Here we go again. Can I talk for a second? The attitude and the answer should be, listen, It could be possible. Yeah, there is a chance. But right from the gate, it's not what B say. Oh, what he taking? What he taking? Instead of saying, no, you know what, Georgie? Yeah, it could be, man, but we ain't got no proof. I know there are mafias in boxing, and I know this shit happens. But they are rage right from the gate.
You know what?
When we're talking about these motherfuckers that we know for years.
You know what this is like?
They get outraged with me instead of getting outraged with the one who's fucking them.
Can I jump in for a second? You know what this is like?
Yes, sir.
Let me jump in for a second. So you see a guy driving down the street in a Mercedes-Benz, right? Then the cop pulls him over and says, let me see your license and registration. Shows him the license and registration. Then the cop says, you know what? You don't look like you should be driving this car. I think you're a drug dealer. Right?
Exactly what it's like.
Does a search on the car. There's no drugs there. So what's he do? He starts harassing the guy. Oh, I know you got drugs somewhere. Tell me where you got the drugs. Where did you hide the drugs? It's like, imagine if you could just go through life looking at people and just accusing people of things and have no proof. Like I could walk up to you one day and say, hey, you know what, Georgie? I think you're a mass murderer. I think you got 50,000. I think you got 20 people in your basement right now. Let me go downstairs in your basement so I can see where you're hiding the dead bodies.
That's why he's in Rikers, Pete.
It's like, imagine a world where we can just go through life accusing people of things and not proving them.
Right.
You know how many innocent people we'd have in jail? We already have.
For 1 second.
So
demolish your motherfucking theory.
So
just demolish your theory.
Just because you think someone looks a certain way, automatically that person.
There is no thinking. There is no thinking here.
Can I ask you a question? Am I on P?
The reason why your example don't make no sense, B. The reason why it doesn't make no sense, because we're talking about who's suspicious already. We're talking about boxing. We're not talking about nobody just walking around. We're talking about somebody that we got suspicious on boxing.
So there's no
really suspicious.
So there's no such thing as
probable cause on boxing. Probable cause.
You gonna let me talk? You're gonna let me talk? Or you gonna?
It's probable cause, not probable suspicion.
Are you gonna let me talk, or are you gonna keep screaming? You gonna let me talk?
Go ahead.
First of all, you don't think that the cops profile people? They look at them. I had an IROC when I was a kid. I was 18 years old. I had a candy apple red IROC.
Very nice car, by the way, Pete.
And I would drive down the street, and the cops would just follow me because they looked at me. I'm a young kid. This kid got a candy apple red IROC. He's probably at some point going to take off and start speeding. I want to give him a ticket. You don't think people are prejudiced towards certain people? They're biased against certain people. You don't think that there's profiling out there. So again, you look at a guy like Anthony Joshua, who works out, eats right, sleeps right, does what he's supposed to do, puts in the hard work, and because the guy, maybe you can't achieve what he achieves, so automatically there's a jealousy there, there's a hate there. So now you got to say the guy's on steroids.
Oh, now I'm jealous and hate. Now it's jealous and hate, B.
Where does it come
from?
Well,
that I'm hating.
Let me ask you a question, Georgie.
I got a video of Anthony Joshua where I've been defending Anthony Joshua for years.
Well,
I'm an AJ fan. You guys know this.
Why do you think he's on performance enhancers?
But you're accusing him of doing something illegal.
Already for the fifth fucking time. Let me tell you, because you guys don't understand or don't remember. I just told you the way he fought. He didn't took the breather that he usually takes in rounds.
Yes, he did.
He didn't get stopped like he said. It looks suspicious to me.
Did you see
what? Hold on, let me finish with this one. Let me finish so you can guys move on without me. It's like with Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao grew up in poverty, lack of nutrition. That's how he grew up. And we got this motherfucker going like 7 fucking divisions, murdering Jesus, Mary, and Joseph without breaking a sweat by bringing
The point that he could be fucking on enhanced drugs is outrageous. For you guys, it's outrageous. You guys don't let the possibility in. We're talking about boxing. I'm not talking about no motherfucker driving no fucking C-Rock. Nobody give a fuck about no C-Rock. We're talking about boxing, suspicious as fuck. Mafia found the shit. That's what we're talking about. And I feel it's fucking fucked up. There's somebody even there to question, oh, how you there? Because you jealous? No, motherfucker, because I love the sport. That's why. But you got to come and attack to the motherfucking ringing the bell.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the
whistleblower.
Here's the thing. He comes out in the third round, knocks Pulev down twice, empties out the clip. Comes out in the fourth round. He's not throwing any punches. He's fighting to get his second win. Am I right, Eric?
Yeah.
He was tired after that barrage in the third round.
Sure.
So he definitely he actually took the fourth round off and didn't really do anything in the fourth round. You can even argue that maybe Pulev may have eked that fourth round out because of lack of activity from AJ. Listen, AJ, he's just a guy that's always going to have stamina problems. He's not a marathon runner. He's a sprinter.
He's muscled. I mean, he's got a lot of muscle on him. You know what I mean?
He's a heavily muscled guy. The way his body is built, he uses up a lot of oxygen. He's a fast twitch guy. He's in it for the sprint, not for the marathon. So if you watch AJ, does the same thing Klitschko did after Klitschko got knocked out against Ross Purity and who was the other guy that knocked him out there? Ross Purity, and then he got knocked out by the other guy, whatever the hell his name is. He got knocked out by Corey Sanders, whatever. He had a string of knockouts. And then after that, Klitschko started, what did he start doing? He started fighting, slowing down the pace. Mm-hmm. Remember? Because once they realized, and Klitschko was getting knocked out, not because his chin was bad, because, again, Joshua and Klitschko, they have stamina issues. They just, genetically, they're just not guys who have like a lot of slow twitch muscle fibers. They have stamina issues. They get tired. It's not like Fury. Fury can go all night. He has stamina for days. That's just how he's genetically built. Certain guys have stamina for days. Other guys.
The one who got popped for cheating with drugs? That Fury you talking about? That the Fury you talking about? The one who got popped?
Got suspended for 2 years.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Suspended for 2 years. What else? So what else do you want? You want to suspend him again? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We're not profiling. Wait a minute. We're not going after people. We're talking about what got to be talked. You're going to keep talking over me, or you're going to wait a minute? Are you going to keep talking over me? Or you're going to wait a minute?
Dale in Chi-Town, thank you so much, man. We appreciate it.
So what do you want? You want Fury to have a lifetime ban because he popped positive for PEDs? Is that what you want?
No, I want you guys.
Well, he did a 2-year suspension. What else do you want? What else do you want? He did a 2-year suspension.
I want you guys to acknowledge that this is a dirty sport. That's what I want you.
Yes.
I want you guys to acknowledge that we're dealing with mafia, with junkies, doctors, and all type of shit. Acknowledge that.
It's a dirty sport, yeah.
To the show.
I agree with that.
Don't be like everybody else who love boxing so much. If they think that boxing going to go down, they go down with it. No, you don't go down with it. You show me what boxing's all about.
Okay, but
I'm asking for a backbone. That's what I'm asking for.
Okay, but you seem to be emotionally charged about this issue. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, you have. I've
been fighting for this shit for years. I've been fighting with this for years, and every time somebody do something,
let me speak my piece. You gonna let me speak my piece?
How many times is mafia fucking you guys blame the judges?
Are you gonna let me speak my piece, or you're just gonna yell over me? First of all,
well, let me know when you're done, because I asked if you're done. Let me know when you're done, so I can respond, because you're gonna come out with the same shit. So go ahead.
First of all, I'm going to come up with the same shit. All you're going to do is scream and yell the same thing, that the sport's dirty, and you're not going to say anything else.
We know the sport's dirty.
So again, you have.
Thank you. Oh my God, that's fucking shit. Thank you, Eric. Finally.
So you have.
Finally.
He's going to keep yelling.
That's the first time I heard you say that in 4 years.
Okay, you're going to let me speak my piece again, or you're going to keep yelling over me? Because you know, once I start yelling, the fucking earth is going to shake. No one,
yeah, whatever, B. 809, go ahead, B. 809, fuck you said, B. Go ahead, let me know you're done.
You know, once I start yelling, you're not going to get a word in edgewise. I'm trying to be reserved there. I just got over COVID. I have a new lease on life. My mentality has changed. So first of all,
very good demeanor, Beeb. Very good demeanor.
First of all, they have drug testing protocols in place. Now, are those drug testing protocols going to catch everybody? No, they're not. They're not. So again, if the guys pass the drug tests, okay, there's not much else that can be done. Okay, it's just like this. Okay, now I do my taxes every year. Okay. I do my taxes every year. You do your taxes every year. There's tax laws. But again, everyone that fills out their taxes, not everyone gets audited. So when people cheat on their taxes, some people get caught, some people don't. Speeding, you'll have 10 cars speeding. The police officer can only pull over one. So again, you could sit there and say, oh, everyone's taking drugs, everyone's doing this, everyone's doing that. But if they pass the drug tests, there's nothing that can be done. Now,
can I interject something here real quick?
Sure.
Beeb, let me interject this real quick. What if the mafias are the ones running the drug test? Is that something you even gave a thought about?
Well, here's the thing.
The mafias, Beeb. Have you even thought about that?
Here's the thing.
Mafias.
Here's the thing. The WBC did add in an extra drug testing protocol. Okay. Now the testing that the commission does, it's not that great. It's a piss test. Even the WBC's testing, it's not 20. Like no one tests these guys.
You're running for 4 minutes straight, babe, in the same circle.
None of these guys are going to be tested 24/7. So unfortunately, you're not going to catch all of them. Do I think Anthony Joshua is taking PEDs? The reason why I say no is because he's already been caught before. I don't think he would risk it again. There's too much money on the table for him to risk his career by taking PEDs. And his body's getting smaller, not getting bigger. And he's actually fighting at a slower pace now than he's ever fought. So he's changed his fighting style. It's not like I believe strongly Manny Pacquiao was taking PEDs because he was punching harder at 147, because he was throwing more punches at 147 than he was throwing at 126. I suspect strongly that Manny Pacquiao was taking EPO and growth hormone because his head got bigger. Anthony Joshua's head didn't get bigger. His body's gotten smaller. So I just don't think Anthony Joshua's on PEDs. That's just my opinion. Go ahead. I'm done.
Georgie, did you ever think like maybe the WBC is the real mafia and like they're controlling these things?
Listen. The question is, not how long somebody should be banned, not that we got a modern name. That wasn't the question. The question didn't have a fucking thing to do with none of that. The question for the last fucking time, get it straight. Why when somebody call here talking about this dirt, this field that we call boxing, you guys get outraged. Don't get outraged about it. Just say, yes, we're dealing with these fucking mafias and there is a possibility. We ain't got no proof, so we're giving a pass. That makes me happy right there.
All right, Georgie.
I'm happy with that. No jelling, Georgie, nothing like that. I got one more question before I'm out.
All right, we'll ask it, then we'll put you on hold. Go ahead.
Do you guys believe, just want to ask you this, do you guys believe that the Canelo Smith fight was real or was fake?
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get moving. We're gonna answer the question, so listen in. All right, Georgie is out. So was the Canelo Smith fight real or was it fixed? It was 100% real. 100% real.
I think it was 100% real.
I think it was 100% real. No question about it. I think he was just a better fighter.
I mean, here's
the better fighter. What does he talk? I'm trying to make light of it because the call kind of went nowhere. So I'm just trying to make it entertaining anyway. He's saying that Anthony Joshua, his contention is that Anthony Joshua is on some kind of performance enhancer.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing people got to understand. UK fighters have tested positive for PEDs. But if you notice, when they get suspended for 2 years. And I also believe, and please someone correct me if I'm wrong, because I also heard this, and I'm about 90% sure on this. I'm not 100% sure on this. If they get busted a second time, then they can get they can get a lifetime ban. Okay? So the risk of testing positive for a boxer in Great Britain is much more severe than if you test positive in the United States and you get the United States, you get a slap on the wrist, you get a 6-month ban. Over there, you get suspended for 2 years. Okay? Now you can't fight for 2 years. That's 4 fights. You can't fight you get suspended for 6 months. That's 1 fight. Okay. And then you get suspended again. You could get a lifetime ban and you're done. So I think the risk for a UK fighter, it's just not worth it for them. You don't hear, how often do you hear of UK fighters popping positive for PEDs? It's very rare. More so in recent years, it's happened with American fighters. Name the last time a UK fighter popped positive for PEDs.
Listen, here's the deal though. I'm not even going to entertain it because there's no suspicion there. Who suspected it? Georgie? And there's no suspicion there. He's lost weight, son. He's dropped weight from where he used to be.
And he's not more explosive now.
He's not more explosive. His stamina's not really better.
His stamina hasn't improved because he fights at a slower pace now. So
if it's slightly improved, it's because he's lost weight and he's changed his pace. There is absolutely no reason to believe that he's on any kind of PED. That's just a silly argument.
Not just said Jarrell Big Baby Miller only got 2 years and he tested positive 3 times. If you test positive 3 times in the UK, you get a lifetime ban. They're not going to let you fight again. Okay?
Jarrell tested positive and he had no fight. We already went over that loophole. There was a loophole there. That's why he didn't, I'm
not even sure if Fury's got his license back in the UK right now.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if he got that back.
I don't understand where this came from. I just don't understand. This is out of left field. He's on this call for 2 days, two straight weeks now. I just don't understand where he's going with
this. There's just going to be no way of catching every single athlete that is taking PEDs because the guys are not being tested 24/7. What I will tell you is it's harder to get away with taking PEDs now than it was before because the testing does keep improving. You do
all that stuff, yeah. I mean, agreed on all that stuff.
If they're using VADA, which is much better than USADA. VADA catches a lot of people. So if they're using VADA now, I don't think Anthony Joshua has to use VADA, but the testing agency that they use in the UK is pretty stringent too. It's pretty strict.
I don't understand though, and I get that it goes on. I don't understand why single out Anthony Joshua. What is he talking? You know what I mean? It makes no sense. You want to single out somebody, single out Canelo. I can at least make an argument with that. I can't make an argument with this. What are you talking about?
I just don't care about all this stuff because again, they're doing all they can do. They have third-party testing now. They've improved the drug testing. They don't test them 24/7, but when they have a fight signed, they're testing them throughout the whole training camp now.
It's just a silly argument to make. I mean, it really is. It's a silly. He's wasted his time in a ridiculous way.
Well, what proof do you have? You don't have.
There's no proof.
So you
There's no proof.
Say whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah, it's UCOT. That's exactly right. Thank you, Nacho.
Yeah, but there's no proof of any of this. So to bring it up is just stupid. It's a weird topic to bring up when there's nothing. People get so much else to talk about than this nonsense.
Every time people get in this PED argument with me because they know I'm a huge Fury fan, they sit there and they say, "Well, what about Fury?"
Right.
My response to that is he got suspended for 2 years. He was out of the sport of boxing for 3 years.
Yeah.
What else do you want? It was his first offense. He gets busted again, then then he's done.
Right.
That's it.
602.
Go ahead.
602. Hopefully you have a better call here than Georgie. 602, you're live.
Hey, what's going on, B. Barrick? How you doing, man? It's Brandon from Phoenix.
Brandon, what's up?
What's up?
Hey, not much, man. I just wanted to call in, man, make a couple comments about the fight last night and maybe go back in the last week a little bit. Real quick, I anybody could be on steroids. AJ hasn't shown me anything to make me suspicious as of late, other than him just being in the sport of boxing. Because anybody could be doing anything. But man, last night was a great performance by Canelo. I thought the head movement was on point. The jab was even pretty crisp. The combos was crisp. The counters were crisp. And I have respect for Callum Smith as a fighter, even though I know the John Ryder fight was a letdown fight. I thought this was a good performance by Canelo. And for me, this really cemented Canelo was the number one pound for pound guy, over Crawford, in my opinion, personally. It was, and then going back to last week, I thought that was a good performance by AJ. I thought it was a bad performance from Pulev. Pulev, you would have liked him to be a little bit more active, but AJ was moving around the ring pretty well. He stuck to his guns, and I think that I agree with B that he's basically kind of becoming Klitschko. He's not a good enough of a clincher to become Klitschko, and he's not as scared as Klitschko. And I personally believe that his stamina is more of a real stamina issue, where I believe that Klitschko's stamina was much more of a mental thing, because Klitschko could be whooping somebody's ass for 12 rounds and he wouldn't really get tired. But once he would get touched, then it would all kind of fall apart. And he, you know what I mean? And that's just how I look at the difference between one stamina and the other. I have a slight disagreement with this.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but you know what it is too? It's like this.
Mm-hmm.
Once a fighter has gassed out in a particular fight. Oh, Lamont Brewster was the other guy that knocked out Klitschko. I just remembered.
Yeah.
I forgot. So
Mm-hmm.
once a guy has gassed out in a particular fight, it's always in the back of his mind that, hey, I could gas out again in another fight. And just by thinking about that, as you did mention, it becomes mental. And even with Joshua, I think to some degree it may be mental as well, because after that third round, any other fighter would have came out that fourth and tried to take Pulev out of there. Like I was shocked how badly he had Pulev hurt in that third round, knocked him down twice, and even when Pulev got up again, he was still battering him, and I think the bell saved him, in my opinion. So for him to come out the way he came out in the fourth round, but the way he came out in the fourth round, like he blew his wad in the third, and he was afraid that, hey, if I go in for the kill, maybe I'll get tired and then I'll be vulnerable. That's a mental thing, I think, in my opinion. Go ahead.
Well, my rebuttal to that would be is that I don't think so much it was about him getting tired or him blowing his wad in the third round. I think that Pulev did kind of get himself together. And when AJ came out in the fourth round, he didn't want to press, obviously because he does have some ghosts of what happened before. But I think it was actually the smart thing to do. I think it was best for him to let the knockout come to him. There was nothing for him to press for. You know what I mean? Because the fight was going well. He was commanding the fight. And I think that was the smart thing for him to do, was just to let the knockout come to him. He still, to me, shows that he hasn't. I mean, he has lost a little bit of that usefulness with the way he would attack people. But in certain situations, that can get you hurt.
But can I?
You know what I mean? I think it's the right thing.
Can I interject one more time to just bring up another point? Yeah. If you remember when Klitschko fought him, and then he knocked Joshua down, and he backed off after he knocked him down and didn't go in for the kill. So he let Joshua off the hook, in my opinion. And what happened later in the fight? Yeah. He ended up getting knocked out. So again, you're in there with a guy like Pulev. Okay, you let Pulev off the hook. he's not the type of fighter that's going to make you pay for letting him off the hook. You do that against a better guy. Even if you do that against a guy like Wilder, who can pull a rabbit out of the hat. Look what he did to Fury in the 12th round, right? So when you got a guy hurt and you don't finish him, okay, you're giving that guy an opportunity to come back and finish you later in the fight. So that's the thing. You're in there, like, look, Klitschko paid for it. Because if Klitschko went in for the kill and tried to knock Joshua out, he may have got him out of there. We don't know, but he backed off.
I agree with you. I agree with you. There's a chance that could have happened. But
So he was lucky he was in there with a Pulev. He was lucky he was in there with a Pulev and not someone else more dangerous.
I mean, I think if he was in there with somebody more dangerous, I mean, it could go either way. But I think for Joshua, for his style, for what he's trying to do right now in his career, I think that was probably the best thing. Everybody's going to be at a different point. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wins fights differently. So I think for him, that was probably the best thing. And as far as him versus Fury in the future, I still favor Fury in that fight. I didn't really see anything. But, the thing about Fury's head isn't always on straight, And even though Fury has a lot of heart, I have seen him on the canvas before. And I think that Joshua's going to do a little bit better than Wilder did in the mid-range. But we'll see. It's still an interesting fight to me. It's still a fight I'm really looking forward to, and hopefully it gets done. And other than that, man, that's really all I got, y'all.
All right. Thank you so much, Brandon from Phoenix. Appreciate it, man.
You got some guys calling in that haven't called in a while. That's
I know. I like it. 516. This is New York. 516. You're live.
You already know who it is. It's Jesse Rican, bro.
I didn't. I just said 516. You're live. We knew who it was.
Freaking.
Don't waste your time. Don't waste it.
Yeah, we've already had one guy waste his time tonight. He wasted ours too.
Don't waste your call telling us that it's you. Like,
No. Yo, don't leave me like that, please.
All right.
I wanted to ask you guys about the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Like, do you think?
He has a great question. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, he's got a great question. He asked me. Go ahead. I love this question. Go ahead.
Do you think that I think Miguel Cotto should have made the offer over Andre Ward. That's just my opinion. But let me hear you guys say.
Should Miguel Cotto have made it over Andre Ward? No. 100% no. No. 100% no.
No?
No.
Okay.
No way. Andre Ward's undefeated. He's undefeated, won the Super 6, light heavyweight champ, beat everybody in front of him. Easily. Not a fight except maybe the Kovalev fight. The only fight you could really argue was that first Kovalev fight. And that was it. He beat everybody easily.
Yeah, but Cotto's been there so many more years.
Yeah, but he's lost a lot of his big fights too. He lost against Pacquiao. Who else did he lose against?
Mayweather.
Another big fight he lost. Sergio
yeah, but he got cheated against Margarito.
No, he beat Sergio Martinez. He beat Sergio Martinez.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Why did I say that? Beat Sergio
but he
Martinez.
lost his big fights. Andre Ward has never lost a big fight. And he's fought them all. He fought everybody, man. That just on what he did in that Super 6 alone, with that group of killers in there, just what he did in the Super 6 alone put him in there. That's my opinion.
I just think it was. I just think it was a little too early for Ward to make it over him.
I think the argument you can make for Cotto is, I think he was the only. Was he the only Puerto Rican fighter to win titles in 4 weight classes?
I believe so.
Yeah, because he won a title at 140, 147, 154, and 160. So that was, and he's got a great win over Sergio Martinez. He beat Shane Mosley. That's a great win. Beat Joshua Clottey. Beat Margarito in the rematch. What would you say his best win is of all time? What's Cotto's best win?
Yeah, that was the other thing. He lost to Margarito. You know,
I say Sugar Shane. I say Sugar Shane.
Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley will probably be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So who else? So name. So he probably only beat Sergio Martinez. Will probably go into the Hall of Fame. I think he'll probably make it. He won't make it first ballot. So he probably beat 2 Hall of Fame fighters.
Oh, Sugar Shane already made the Hall of Fame.
Is Sugar Shane already in there?
Yeah.
Okay, so he beat 2. Probably beat 2.
Yeah, Shane Mosley, I think went in 18, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in there.
Jesse, I'm going to give you a ray of hope. I feel very confident Miguel Cotto will get in next year when he's on the ballot next year. Could you make
he's going to get in.
Could you make an argument?
I'm just a little upset that he didn't get in this year.
Could you make an argument that he could have possibly gone in over Andre Ward? The only argument you could have made was that you could say he was a champion in more weight divisions than Andre Ward. But once again, Andre Ward.
Not even Andre Ward. Over Ann Wolf, over Layla Ali. There's a lot of people.
Those are separate categories. They have a women's category. They have a men's category. They have a non-participant category. So Ann Wolf got in in the women's category. So that's a separate category. It's not all the categories aren't all lumped into one. They're all separate categories.
So who would you put him? You couldn't put him above Floyd Mayweather.
No.
Because Floyd beat him. You couldn't put him over Vladimir Klitschko.
No, not Vladimir Klitschko. No.
You're 20, some crazy. Son, he was like the heavyweight champion for years.
Vladimir Klitschko was undefeated for 10 years, bro.
Yeah.
He was the lineal. He was the.
He also lost. What's the guy's name? Lenny Brewster. What's his
Layman
name?
Brewster? Like he was a bad fighter. I mean. No, I mean he was the best heavyweight champion of that era.
No, I'm not saying he was a bad fighter.
But what I'm saying is he was the best heavyweight champion of that era. No questions asked. And then so you go to Andre Ward. Andre Ward again is undefeated, son.
If Klitschko went against Mike Tyson would knock his head out.
I don't know about that.
You understand
I'm not 100%. No, I don't. I don't know that at all.
Not at all.
I think it's a horrible style matchup for Tyson.
Look at Tyson versus Tony Tucker. That's all you have to know. Watch that fight. Right. And if Tony Tucker could punch a little bit, that fight would have been different, possibly.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sold on that. That's for sure, man.
I love Mike Tyson. Don't get me wrong.
He's my favorite, man. But I don't know about that.
Doesn't match up great again.
Listen. Yo, Klitschko's okay, but he can never compare to the Foremans, the Tysons of the world. I think John Ruiz would have given him a hard problem, man. Like, come on, man. Like,
well, look, here's the thing, man. He could only fight who was available at that time.
The problem when people assess Klitschko's career is they just don't like his style, so he gets punished for that.
Horrible style.
They don't like, and I get it. I get it.
You think he beats Tyson? You think he beats Tyson?
I don't know. I don't know.
Can I be honest with you? I would pick him over Tyson, yes.
Go ahead.
I do. I think he would beat Tyson. Buster Douglas beat Tyson. Holyfield beat Tyson.
Yeah.
Lennox Lewis beat Tyson.
Buster Douglas beat Tyson. Hold on. Buster Douglas beat Tyson because Tyson was a maniac at the time.
Well, again, but he beat him. It doesn't matter. I mean,
Buster Douglas fought him on the outside, kept him out there with the jab. Klitschko had a phenomenal, not a good jab, a phenomenal jab.
Next level jab.
So you know what?
Phenomenal jab. If Tyson doesn't get past that jab.
Let's talk about it.
And here's another thing. Before you keep interrupting me, all these motherfuckers interrupting me today. I'm getting my shit off. I'm getting my shit off. First of all, here's the thing about Klitschko people don't get. He had a next level jab, but not only that, if you got past that jab, you got wrapped up in a bear hug that you weren't getting out of. You weren't getting out of. Klitschko was a strong guy. He was fucking strong. He grabbed David Haye and fucking threw him around like a rag doll. Like a rag doll.
No, you know what? You know what? You guys are the greatest people in the world. So
I'm not going to
Floyd
go
Mayweather's
that
the greatest.
far. I'm not going to go that far.
Close. I mean, we're in the top. We're in the conversation for sure.
Floyd's the greatest. Oh, he's going to be. Oh, he's going against Logan Paul. Oh my God, what a great matchup!
All you got to do is watch Mike Tyson versus Lennox Lewis. Vladimir Klitschko would do the same thing.
Yeah,
he would do the same thing. I think Tyson would lose to Vladimir Klitschko.
But I'm saying like Floyd's fighting the greatest fighter of all time.
Why are you changing? Why are you changing?
What does that have to do with the Hall of Fame, though?
Why are you changing the subject, man? Why are you changing the subject?
Because Cotto belongs in that Hall of Fame. That's all I'm saying.
I think you can make an argument. I think you can make an argument that he does belong in the Hall of Fame because
I don't think you can make that argument this year, though.
Well, I think you can, but it's a tough argument. It's not a clear-cut argument. You could make an argument based off of the fact that I think he's the only Puerto Rican.
Are
you gonna keep stepping on me? Are you gonna keep stepping on me? Are you gonna keep stepping on me? Don't keep stepping on me. Don't keep stepping on me. You guys are gonna make me raise my voice, and this is post-COVID. Beeb don't want to raise his voice.
He's doing very well.
Post-COVID, Beeb does not want to raise his voice. Got a new lease on life. He got a new outlook. You could make an argument based off of the fact that he won. I believe he's the only Puerto Rican fighter to win championships in 4 weight classes. So based on that alone, you have a very strong argument that he should have gone in first ballot. That's all I'm saying. I'm with you on your argument, but I don't think it's. But I still think there's an argument for Andre Ward based off of what he did too. I think it's tough. It's tough.
Do you want to hear my?
I think it's tough.
You want to hear my argument?
Go ahead.
I feel like people don't like to see Puerto Ricans win.
Well, let me ask you a question. What nationality are you?
Puerto Rican.
What nationality is Miguel Cotto?
Puerto Rican.
Do you think you're a little biased right now? If Miguel Cotto was black, if Miguel Cotto was black, or if he was freaking Irish, would we be having this conversation right now?
If he was Miguel Washington, will we be having this conversation right now?
If Miguel Cotto was black, or if Miguel Cotto was Irish, or if he was Jewish, if his name was Miguel Schwartz, if his name was Miguel Schwartz, would we be having this conversation right now? Be honest.
The same kind of record.
Be honest. Am I going to get an answer? Am I going to get an answer? Or am I going to get filibustered?
You get filibustered.
I just answered you.
What?
I said with the same resume. Yes.
Okay. I think you're lying your ass off.
With the same resume. Yes.
So too.
I think you're lying your ass
Washington.
That was pretty fun. Miguel Washington.
All right, Jesse, we're gonna get running, man. Thank you so much, man.
What are you gonna say, Jesse?
I like Miguel Schwartz.
You like Miguel Schwartz?
Okay.
Miguel O'Malley. How about Miguel O'Malley?
Jesse, you had a good question this week, though. I got to give you credit.
It was a good question. That was a very good question.
Very good question, Jesse.
Miguel O'Shaughnessy.
That's funny. That's mad funny.
All right, let's move on to the news here real quick. Let's just start off with the Hall of Fame inductees, as we just talked about. This year for 2021, Floyd Mayweather made the list. I don't think there's any problems there. Do you, Beeb?
No.
Floyd, what are you going to say? Floyd Mayweather. Layla Ali, Hall of Famer. I mean, come on. Best of her generation, women's boxing, Vladimir Klitschko. No question. He's first ballot, man. Come on. Andre Ward.
See, I love Andre Ward.
I don't have any problem with that one.
I would have voted him in.
Pound for pound champion. Like I said, even when, and you know this as well, even when Floyd was pound for pound, I had Andre Ward as top pound for pound.
Miguel Cotto was never the pound for pound champion. He was never even in the top 10 ever.
He lost a lot of his big fights, man. Andre Ward never lost his big fight. Like it or not, he was undefeated. You can make a case that he lost that first Kovalev fight, but the bottom line is judges gave it to him. He's undefeated. If this could have, would have, should have, blah, 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 he's undefeated. Like it or not, never had a bad night. Anna Wolf, one of the best female boxers out there. The one that got away here to me wasn't Miguel Cotto, was James Toney. Who do you put him over? It's tough, right? It's tough. I can't put him over Klitschko, and I surely couldn't put him over Ward or Mayweather.
Yeah.
It's tough. I think he belongs in, but he's at second tier. I think he's at second tier with Cotto, because I do believe Cotto belongs there for sure.
Well, some people were saying he should have got in over Ward because because of his resume, but
nah, I don't think so. Who has got a better I mean, listen, man, you cannot argue with Andre Ward's resume.
I love Andre Ward.
You can't.
No.
Based on what he did in that Super 6 alone, got him there. To me,
and I still had him beating Kovalev the first time. I thought he won.
You did. You had him winning. Now I had Kovalev winning, but you had Ward winning.
I had,
more importantly, the judges had him winning.
I had him winning this, like running away with the second half of that fight. I just don't understand how like people say, oh well, I scored the first 6 rounds 4-2 for Kovalev. No, I thought the first 6 rounds were even. I had it 3-3. Yeah. I had it 3-3. And then people were like, okay, you have it 3-3, but then you have then Kovalev won 2 of the last 6. I only gave Kovalev 1 of the last 6. I thought Ward in the second half of that fight, even in the first half of that fight, I just saw him coming back. Yeah. And the body work, he was bossing Kovalev on the inside.
He was vicious. It was vicious. Yeah, Ward, I'm with you, man. Ward is one of my favorite fighters of all time. He really is. I mean,
Ward is such a tough, gritty, but not only that, he's an intelligent. He's got such like, he's so smart and he's so strong-willed to go along with his intelligence. Mentally, he's probably one of the best fighters of all time. Mentally, him and Floyd Mayweather.
Strong mentally for sure.
People could say what they want. People can say what they want about Floyd Mayweather. He was a tough guy in the ring. Look at those 2 shots he took from Mosley, and he came back and he won that fight.
You know, in order to get to like that level, like that Ward level, like that Mayweather level, you have to have some dog in you. You know what I mean? You got to have that grit, that bite down. And both of those guys had it.
Ward is one of the most mentally strong people I've ever seen.
Sure. No question.
Strong.
No question, man. No question. So that's your Hall of Fame. Edgar Berlanga. We saw him fight last week, or it was last week, I believe. Says he wants to start getting paid like a star. I think he's reading his own press clippings, Beeb. This guy says, now Berlanga is 16-0, all 16 knockouts coming in the first round. He never faced a top 10 guy. And now he wants to get paid like a star. Come on, son. What are you talking about? What do you think about this, man?
Again, we live in this era of social media. Everybody's
reading his press clippings.
Everybody wants to be flashy. Everyone wants to talk about bling bling, and everyone wants to be an Instagram model or an Instagram superstar, or they want to be a YouTube star or whatever. They see what's going on with all these other people out here, all these other YouTube celebrities, these Instagram celebrities, and now everyone wants to just jump into the fray.
Right.
And this is what it is, man. This is what it is. You got guys like friggin' Adrian Broner flashing their cash, and then when they were in court telling people they're broke, but then all you got to do is go to the Instagram video when he's got stacks of hundreds, and
that was all monopoly money, Beeb. You can't bring Adrian Broner into this. That was all monopoly money.
Whatever the case may be, it didn't look like monopoly money to the judge who called him out on it.
Well, the judge was wrong. I mean, the judge was completely wrong in that. I think that's been proven. I think let's just say the jury's back on that.
You can think the judge is wrong all you want, but she still locked him up, didn't she?
Yeah, well, you know what? We're actually fighting that case, and we're looking to get her disbarred from there. So or
right.
disjudged. I don't know how. Do judges? Yeah, judges can get disbarred because they're attorneys as well. So yeah, 100%. We're going right after her, and I'll tell you what, we don't sleep here in Title Town.
Okay.
Litigation, son. Litigation's the name of the game here.
I got you.
That's right. Let's talk about this. This is our second train wreck of the week here. Your favorite topic. No question about it, B. This has been your favorite of 2020. This has been absolutely your favorite topic. I'm going to let you run with this. Vasil Lomachenko is now crying about his loss to Teofimo Lopez, stating that the judge had to be bribed. The judges had to be bribed. Nothing else it could be because he didn't lose. Everybody's got that Trump syndrome now, don't they, Beeb? What's going on with this? Talk to me about this.
Well, people are complaining, telling me why I can't let it go. I let it go. I let it go. I let it go. He can't let it go. Talk to Lomachenko. Ask Lomachenko why he can't let it go. 2 months later, he's still talking about and complaining about his loss. Now people are saying, well, maybe he was misinterpreted or whatever. Yeah, but he was still complaining after the fight about those scorecards, okay? He just was complaining. And again, you don't have to like the 119 and 109 scorecard. But the other two scorecards, in my opinion, were legit. They were legit. And again, the right man still won the fight. It wasn't like I said before, it wasn't like Golovkin versus Canelo in that first fight, where that fight was very competitive. You could make an argument for a draw in that fight, but you couldn't make an argument for 118 and 110 for Canelo. You just couldn't. That fight was much closer, in my opinion, than this fight. It's just my opinion. And I think most people would agree with that. So I did let it go, but just when I get out, they pull me back in.
Pull you back in.
They pulled me back in.
I was I want to say I was surprised by him coming out and saying that, but I really kind of wasn't, just because of the way he acted after the fight. And to me, it's just sad. Like, you want to ask for, it's to the point, like, after that first fight, I'll be honest with you, I don't want to see a rematch.
Well,
I don't need to see one.
See the video? Did you see the video? There was a cop at the Canelo fight. It was a cop at the Canelo fight, part of the security team, I'm imagining, or part of the detail, whatever. And he's yelling at Teofimo Lopez, when you're going to rematch Lomachenko? Why won't you rematch Lomachenko? I just don't understand. I just don't understand why there's such a need or demand for the rematch. He clearly won the fight with no controversy at all. You want to talk about how Lomachenko had a bum shoulder? Teofimo had a bum friggin' foot. He had a bum wrist. Okay? What would Teofimo have done if his foot wasn't broken and his ligaments in his foot weren't torn up?
Do you want to see the fight again?
I don't care if I see it again. Would I watch it? Yeah, but I don't
watch it too, but yeah.
I would rather see him fight other guys. There's no question. I'd rather see I'd rather see him fight the winner of Ramirez versus Taylor.
Yeah.
I'd rather
I'd love to see that.
I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Devin Haney. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Gervonta Davis.
There's better fights for him out there.
I would put those fights. And here's another thing. Lomachenko is not going to get better. He's going to get worse. He's on the downside. That doesn't mean he's a bad fighter. Doesn't even mean he's shot. But he is declining. He's declining. GGG is declining as well. Once again, these guys had long amateur careers. They started the pro career late, and they have a smaller window than a lot of these other guys do. Okay? And that's just the way it is, in my opinion. I just think that Lomachenko probably has maybe 2 good years left in him. Golovkin probably has 1 more good year left in him.
I think Golovkin's years are used up. I think he's done.
And the problem with Lomachenko is he's already injured that shoulder. Okay? Then he had surgery on that shoulder, if I'm not mistaken. And now he's going to have surgery on it again. So right off the bat, when you injure an area more than one time, it's pretty safe to say that area is never going to be the same again. My knees are never going to be what they once were at before the surgeries. You know, they're just not. So it is what it is. People don't get better with age. Once you injure yourself, you're never going to be back to what you were after the injury. If you have surgery, if you have something repaired, if you get an ACL reconstruction, that ACL gets brought back to 90% of what it once was. It's never going to be 100.
No,
never. Shoulders are worse. Shoulders have like a 50% success rate after the surgery. When Andre Ward got his right shoulder operated on, the doctor told him, he goes, you have a 50% chance this is going to work, and there's a 50% chance it might not work. Andre Ward got lucky. He rolled the dice. Let's see. I mean, I wish all the best. I hope that Lomachenko can come back, but I'm just once again, I look at the reality of the situation. I look at history. I look at data. I look at medical evidence, medical statistics. This is what I look at. And chances are he would do much worse in a rematch. Much worse in a rematch. I don't think he would get better. I think it would be worse for him.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, again, in that rematch, what unanswered questions do we have from that first fight? Really? I mean, what unanswered questions do we have?
Listen,
I don't have any.
Lomachenko had 3 or 4 good rounds in that fight. 3 or 4 good rounds in that fight.
That he solidly won.
Yeah, you can make an argument that he won 4 rounds.
How many? Okay, let me ask you this. Like, think about this. How many rounds did he win where we can't make an argument that it could have went the other way? I got quite a few Teofimo rounds that I can't argue went the other way. That were solid Teofimo. There's no case I could make.
When you look at rounds 8, I think round 11 was the most dominant round for Lomachenko.
Yeah.
Okay. You could give Lopez the 8th if you wanted to. That round was close. You could have that fight 117 and 111. 119, 109 is a little bit wide. I agree. I think that was wide. That's Julie Letterman only gave him Lomachenko the 11th, but that was his most dominant round. Okay. So you could give him the 9th and the 10th. I mean, you could easily score that fight 9 rounds to 3, 8 rounds to 4. Some people gave Lomachenko the 7th. I just didn't see it. People that gave Lomachenko the 2nd round, I mean, again, I'm not going to insult anybody, but I watched that round 1,000 times. I just can't fathom it. I just can't. And even that punch that he landed at the end, it was a good punch, but it wasn't earth-shattering. It just wasn't. So
he never at any point had Teofimo in trouble in there. He never at any point. I mean, he had trouble with that jab all night. He had trouble with the sides.
And if you go and look at the 12th round, Lomachenko had him hurt in that round. I mean, not Lomachenko. I mean, Lopez had.
Yeah. Oh, Lopez,
yeah. Excuse me. I meant to say Lopez. Lopez had Lomachenko hurt in that 12th round. He had him hurt.
Yeah.
He hurt him.
So. Yeah, to me, that fight's open and shut. I don't need to see another one. And, you can cry about it all you want. I mean, as far as if you're Lomachenko, I get it. You're trying to save face, whatever. But look, man, where does he go now? Where does he go now? You're not fighting Teofimo. I mean, they're both under top rank. Maybe it happens. It'd be silly to, though.
He's going to be out.
We'll see.
And here's another thing, too. Everyone's like, oh, well, the fix was in. They didn't give him a rematch clause. First of all, his team did not negotiate or ask for a rematch clause. They thought that they were going to win. They did not hold Teofimo Lopez in high regard. Top Rank did not think Teofimo Lopez was going to win.
No.
Nobody, and people want to lie. They want to lie in Monday Morning Quarterback. Out with the old, in with the new. That's no.
This was not a passing of the torch fight.
That's not how this fight was promoted.
Right.
Everything was centered around Lomachenko. Lomachenko, the fastest fighter to win three titles, and was it 3 titles or 4 titles? I think it was three titles.
Whatever it was.
In 14 fights. No one's ever done that. Lomachenko has a higher power punch connect ratio than the great Roberto Duran. Meanwhile, Roberto Duran has 119 fights. He has 15 fights. That's a great comparison. They were doing everything in their power to pump this guy up and say he was one of the greatest lightweights of all time. They didn't say shit about Teofimo Lopez. Nada. Okay? So don't sit there and tell me. And then when you go and you look at all of the people, mainstream media, go on ringtv.com. They asked 20 people who's going to win this fight. 18 of them pick Lomachenko. Then you want to go. So don't sit there and tell me that this was an out with the old, in with the new. Because everyone was saying this was like fucking Floyd versus Canelo. That's what everyone was saying. Yep. So now don't Monday morning quarterback it now. Don't fucking Monday morning quarterback it now when it's convenient. Okay? I thought Anthony Joshua was going to knock out Andy Ruiz in the first fight. I'm not going to be like, I picked Joshua, but I could see Ruiz. No. I thought Joshua was going to knock out Ruiz. I'm going to stick by that. I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback it like all the other fucking idiots. I did pick Joshua, but I did say Ruiz would give him problems. He could win. You know what I mean? It's like don't Monday morning quarterback it. Now, out with the old, in with the new. No, this was not a passing of the torch. It was
not that fight.
No, it was not that fight. It wasn't. Just wasn't. Stop.
So they just, I don't know. Just sour grapes.
That's all it is.
So coming up March 13th, Chocolatito versus Juan Francisco Estrada has been signed and set for March 13th. I don't, listen, man, I've counted Chocolatito out a lot. He's still in. I cannot favor him over Juan Francisco Estrada. I think Estrada wins this fight. I think he wins it easy. I don't know.
Timing's everything.
Yeah.
And these guys are going in different directions right now.
Very different directions. Very different directions.
As much as we like Chocolatito, we saw him in his last fight, and once again, it was very similar to the Golovkin performance.
Yeah, not good, man.
We're seeing slippage.
Yeah. Who do you think looked worse in his last fight, Golovkin or Chocolatito?
Golovkin.
I think Golovkin looked bad. And what was with the DAZN? DAZN was all like, "Oh, he looks great. He looks this Triple G of old."
Chris Algieri should have just grabbed pom-poms and started saying, "Give me a G. Give me a G. Give me a G.
Give me another G."
I mean, because he was just
it's awful, right?
He was sitting there like gushing over Golovkin. Gushing.
Hey, he probably took a shower with him after the fight. I mean, seriously, like he was over there. He was all over his shorts the entire night. And I'm watching this. I'm like, I'm going to talk to people. Is anybody seeing what I'm seeing here? Like, because if I'm seeing it, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm seeing this, I don't understand why these guys aren't seeing it.
And then if you say something about it, automatically, you're a hater.
You're a hater, man. Yeah, exactly.
You're a hater. Yeah, I hate Golovkin.
Right.
He did such horrible things to me that I hate him. I have such a grudge against Golovkin. For what? Stop.
Yeah, because Notorious VC comments some bad calls today, except for Nacho. This is why Nacho wins Caller of the Year.
He does.
Listen, man, I tried my best. I tried my best to campaign for Georgie. The last 2 weeks have been atrocious, though. For him,
he's horrible.
He's been bad. He's been bad the last 2 weeks.
He's really bad.
Yeah, he hasn't been good. So
all he wants to do is be like fucking like conspiracy theories. Like that's all he is. He's like the fucking Twilight Zone right now.
I don't get it. All right, guys, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib
from Boston
on Twitter at JHabib1 and find our YouTube channel at ringsidereporterlive.com. You can find me on Twitter at ringside73, and we will see you guys next week.
And you can find Georgie Porgy on